If you remember back in June, actually back in July, but definitely back in my June wrap up, I mentioned that I found a new favorite series. Well, here's that first review. Wow, what an intro. Today I'll be reviewing Gild by Raven Kennedy. This is part of the Plated Prisoner series. So let's read the synopsis and then I'm going to talk about it. The Fae abandoned this world to us, and the ones with power rule. Gold. Gold floors, gold walls, gold furniture, gold clothes. In Highbell, in the castle built into the frozen mountains, everything is made of gold. Even me. King Midas rescued me, dug me out of the slums, and placed me on a pedestal. I'm called his precious, his favored. I'm the woman he gold touched to show everyone that I belong to him, to show how powerful he is. He gave me protection, and I gave him my heart. And even though I don't leave the confines of the palace, I'm safe. Until war comes to the kingdom and the deal is struck. Suddenly, my trust is broken, my love is challenged, and I realize that everything I thought I knew about Midas might be wrong. Because these bars I'm kept in, no matter how gilded, are still just a cage. But the monsters on the other side might make me wish I'd never left. The Myth of King Midas reimagined. This compelling adult fantasy series is as addictive as it is unexpected. With romance, intrigue, and danger, the gilded world of Aurea will grip you from the very first page. Please note, by the way, this is important, this book contains explicit content and darker elements, including mature language, violence, and rape. It is not intended for anyone under 18 years of age. This is book 1 in a series. So they give you the content warnings here, so I don't have to worry about giving you those content warnings. But also, I want to very quickly just give some praise / credit for giving content warnings and synopsis. I mentioned this in the review for the Savior's Champion a couple of months ago, that people should really start giving content warnings in their synopsis. That would be really good. I do know that, at least for the audiobooks I've listened to, there usually is a content warning in the beginning at times, but I do think it should actually be right from the start in the synopsis. So my credit, and that is actually one of the things I gave credit to Moresi for putting, basically for putting what is it? What am I saying? Oh, for putting content warnings in her description, because I do think it is important to have them. So I have reason to believe, when it comes to this book, by the way, that it's self-published. When you look in Audible, it says that it is self-published. It has it doesn't say self-published. It says publisher Raven Kennedy. So again, reason to believe it's self-published, right? So first of all, I don't get to read self-published books often. Unless I can find them in Audible, it's basically unlikely that I'll be able to read self-published books. So I was very happy to have read this one and found a new fantasy series. I really like it. I think it's really good. I think the fact that it has to do with the myth of King Midas just makes it even more interesting as a book. This book kind of acts like a setup for the bigger plot. So a lot of this is basically getting to know the world, getting to know the characters, getting to just, know people, basically. So I love it. I think it was really well done. I think it built the world in a way I really, really liked. And it also made the story really interesting. I like Auron as a character. Actually, one of her defining features, which is something I really like, is that she basically has ribbons. So she has 24 ribbons, 12 on each shoulder, basically, or on each side of her back, that basically just like grew out of her. And I thought that was really cool. And they like, she can like move them. They help her do her hair. She mainly uses it for that, but like, it's really cool that they can kind of do that. And at the end of the book, she also uses it for something else, but I will not spoil that because I think you should read it. So I think it's really interesting to see those ribbons. And throughout the rest of the series, you do figure out what they're kind of for. I'm sorry, what they do actually. I will talk about that if I want to spoil later on in the series reviews. So, yay. So I, for one, did like that defining feature. I thought it was kind of interesting. There is no romance in this book, but there is a lot of intrigue. So it's kind of interesting. One of my favorite parts of this book, I think, was to see the complex relationship between Arin and herself, Arin and Matos, and then of course there's Arin and everybody else, like Queen Melina, who basically hates her. Then of course there are the other saddles, which are basically a fancy way of saying, I guess, royal concubines, who hate her because she's the king's favorite. And then there's Matos, who supposedly loves her, and it's really interesting to see the complex relationships. I think this author does a really good job. I want to give out, by the way, another content warning that was not given in the description. It doesn't show up a lot in this book, but it is explained in the very beginning, kind of. It is told to us. There is a slight, the character is in someone who was a victim of human trafficking. So know that, I guess, before you go in. We are told this. It's not something explored in the book. It is, however, explored in the rest of the series because in the other books, we kind of get to see, one of the things we get to see is her, what's that called? We get to see flashbacks of her previous life. So I kind of look forward to seeing how that works out. So yes, that's kind of what we get to see. And, I think it's interesting, especially when there's the series, but this book acts more like a setup to a bigger conflict. So there's very little I can say besides how much I really, really, really love this book and how I think you should read it. But no, it is very slow burn, and it's a long book. I think it's 402 pages or so, but it is very slow burn, and because of that, it might be it might be a lot to. I feel like it might be a lot in to people because not a lot happens in this book. And although things happen and the action moves quickly, but the other part of the rest of the book, after like the big part of the plot happens, is a little more I don't know, a little more like quiet in a way. But it does end in a cliffhanger, which I think is cool, and I really like the way it ends. What else can I say? I have nothing but a lot of praise for this book. I really do have a lot of praise. I think this book did a really good job in establishing characters, establishing world, and the writing is really good. It's first person, but it's really good. We get like one chapter in Matos' point of view at the end, and I thought that was very interesting. I think the narrators did a really good job, especially the woman whose name I'm sorry I have forgotten. So yes, I really, really liked it. I think it was well done. One of the things that this book definitely plays with a lot is being sheltered and trying to be safe and stuff like that. And one of the things that this character does is there's a complex relationship that she has with like staying in the cage and being grateful for the things that she's gotten, but also wanting to be free, which I thought was kind of interesting. It can be it's really interesting because she's like in the cage and she's asking to, you know, have more freedom, be out of a cage and everything like that. And then she's like, you know, but then she's like, I should be grateful because I'm safe and he saved me or whatever. So it's a very interesting and complex relationship that I like. So yeah, those are my thoughts, and I will be back with another review in this series next Wednesday. So expect that. I'll see you soon, and yeah. Anyway, until then, consider subscribing to my channel for more content. Comment down below your thoughts on Gild, not Gilded, Gild. And also consider subscribing to my blog, which is linked in the description along with other series. Until then, consume stories. Bye! Oh, I just clicked the button. I really hope this doesn't mess up my recording.